Well, you won the election. Congratulations. But we do have a tradition of professional courtesy up here, and I can personally vouch for each and every one of these men.
You're all fired.
What's up, guys? Benny. I got some information that will make your blood boil. Get ready. I just grokked a couple of interesting questions here. What is the average salary of a federal worker versus a private sector worker? You know, you and me most likely have to just go hang a shingle in this economy that is constantly under attack by the people in Washington and trying our level-headed best to scrape 2 pennies together and make an honest living. Okay? It's becoming harder and harder. But did you know that public sector employees in America, because of their lavish unions and their lavish protections, make on average of $108,000 a year? This is the federal sector. The average annual salary for a federal civilian employee is approximately $101,000 per year. This is in 2023. They got raises, 5% raise. Did you get a 5% raise? You get a 2% raise? Brings it to roughly $108,000 per year. That is a royal sum. That's your average compensation. There are many people that make a ton more than that. There are a lot of people that clearly are not deserving of that. Overall, U.S. private sector average is around $60,000 to $70,000, depending on where you live. $60,000 to $70,000. So the people who work for the Fed, who, by the way, you go through these buildings in Washington, D.C., they're just these grotesque slobs who do not work. They don't want to come into work. They do not want to lift a finger. They're in all these protected unions. They take 4-hour lunches. They don't do anything. All of them could be replaced by chatbots. And they're making a whole $40,000 more annually than the actual productive part of society. That is a lopsided, horrific reality. They give all the data here. So you may say, Benny, listen, it's not like there's a lot of federal workers, Like how many federal workers do you know? But that's just totally anecdotal. You'd be wrong. Total number of federal workers in mid-2025, the size of the U.S. federal government employs 2.93 million civilian workers. This excludes active military personnel, 1.3 million active duty military. So if you were to add active duty military, which of course I want them to be employed, but if you were to add that, then you're talking 5 million workers. The total raises to around 3 million civilians when including postal workers. My goodness. Combining with military, 4.3 million, give or take. So that seems like a lot. Like clearly, Amazon or Walmart or whatever, they're going to have more employees than the federal government, right? The federal government is not the number one employer in America. Largest employer in America. Largest employer is the federal government, followed by the Department of Defense, followed by other federal agencies. It's not even close. So the point of all this is that there is an obscene amount of waste and glut on the federal workers. Federal workers, probably like the biggest actual welfare program in the country, are these slovenly federal workers. And 100,000 of them are expected to quit today. Ladies and gentlemen, that should bring all of us great and resounding, massive cheers. Yeah, okay, so what's going on here? Well, let's read. Over 100,000 federal employees are expected to resign immediately and imminently under the Trump administration's sweeping deferred resignation program. The mass exodus is essential to finally draining the swamp and reasserting presidential control over the bloated, unaccountable federal machine. Last week, Office of Personnel Management reportedly circulated internal guidance to agencies, warning them to prepare for waves of deferred resignations and reductions in force should Congress fail to approve full appropriations. Okay, there's a government shutdown. Agencies were told to begin drafting separation and reduction in force plans targeting non-essential positions. In January 28, 2025, the Office of Personnel Management issued a memo to the entire federal civil service titled A Fork in the Road, offering employees a deferred resignation option. The offer promised a continued salary and benefits through September 30th if workers left voluntarily. But if they signed away legal rights and accepted an exit by looming deadline, by mid-February, approximately 75,000 federal employees had signed their exit agreement. Now, as Trump and the White House prepares a new wave of more than 100,000 additional workers depart on Tuesday, today, making this the largest breakaway single-day drop in federal workforce in history, according to The Guardian. Now, it's just a drop in the bucket. Sadly, if you look at the actual numbers, I mean, total number of federal workers is 4.3 million. So 100,000 is not that much. But if you look at the actual civilian workforce, which is what should be the target here, and not the active duty military personnel, nobody wants our military to have no recruits and no one serving in it, then you can see that this number will begin to make a dent. Small one, but a dent nonetheless. 2.93 million civilian workers. How much should that number be cut? Well, let's see, down to the bone. 100,000 federal workers set to resign today. Largest resignation in history. Oh, yeah, baby. Amid looming government shutdown, 100,000 federal workers are reportedly resigning. The clock is ticking in Washington, D.C. If Congress and President Trump don't reach a deal by midnight on Tuesday, and the federal government will shut down, a move that would have immediate impacts across the region. Last week, OPM, Office of Budget and Management, instructed federal agencies to prepare for reduction force plans. This will be the largest decline in federal employment in a single year since World War II. Nice. According to the report from Senate Democrats, the resignation program will cost $14 billion. This is the email saying GTFO, right? It's the celebration online. We need oceanographic and atmosphere scientists. No, we don't. Look at this. This is like your perfect like federal worker too. Like this is it. Like this is just a retirement program for old pothead boomers. Old filthy potheads from the 1960s and 70s. That's all it is. And they've done nothing. They've done literally nothing. You go through these federal buildings, it's just garbage. I mean, they're just like the buildings are filthy. The offices are dusty. Nobody ever shows up to work. Happy federal government shutdown day. 100,000 employees will be resigning today. Let's not forget that they took a buyout several months ago. This is great news. Cleaning of the house. 100,000 mass resignation just hours before shutdown. In the event of a federal government shutdown, EPA plans to retain only 1,700 employees, which is less than 12% of its staff. Resignations are also expected. Volatile times for everyone depends on stable biofuels policy. Okay, whatever. That's awesome. You totally could run the EPA with 1,700 people. The left keeps threatening us with government shutdowns and resignations. Please. That's right. Bill Clinton cut 350,000 federal jobs over 8 years. Based? Schumer shut down and 100,000 federal workers resign, trimming the fat. So we can be leaner and more efficient and winning. Thank you. Thank you. Speaking of trimming the fat, the tears from Democrats over Donald Trump sharing this meme have been so salty and so delicious.
There's no way to sugarcoat it. Nobody likes Democrats anymore. We have no voters left because of all of our woke trans bullshit. Not even black people want to vote for us anymore. Even Latinos hate us. So we need new voters. And if we give all these illegal aliens free health care, we might be able to get them on our side so they can vote for us. They can't even speak English, so they won't realize we're just a bunch of woke pieces of shit, you know, at least for a while until they learn English and they realize they hate us too.
Can't be real, right? No, actually, Donald Trump did share this to his 109 million followers. President Trump shared this, and it's got 22 million views, 300,000 likes, 24,000 saves. Just beautiful. Yeah, make my day. Shut down the government. Like, resign en masse. Federal workforce, for federal boomer welfare workforce. We will replace you with a AI chatbot and be done with it. Good riddance. It's your boy Benny. Like, share, and subscribe for more good news. See ya.